Nearly 160,000 migrants crossed the U.S.-Mexico border illegally in October. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says that number represents a 130,000% increase over the year before. It's one of the concerns Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas struggled to explain during scathing questioning and testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee this week. Mayorkas admits that millions of migrants have crossed the border illegally and have been allowed to go free in communities near and far across the country. However, Secretary Mayorkas argues the immigration situation today is no worse than it was under the Trump administration. Pinal County, Arizona Sheriff Mark Lamb joins us this morning to offer his unique perspective on the immigration issue there, since it's an issue he deals with directly on a daily basis. Sheriff Lamb, good morning.
Hey, Sheriff, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So, Sheriff Lamb, we're going to play you some sound bites from Secretary Mayorkas' testimony and have you respond to their accuracy. First up is Secretary Mayorkas addressing the Biden administration's so-called catch and release policy, which relates to migrants who are caught at the border and then released into the country on a promise that they'll report to an immigration court. Take a listen.
Those who abscond are a priority for removal under the immigration enforcement priorities that I issued on September 30th.
Do they show up at their hearings?
The great majority do, Mr. Chairman.
Sheriff Lamb, in your experience, do a majority of these migrants return for their court date? And more importantly, what are they doing in the months leading up to that date?
No, they don't return for their court date. And why should they? There's no threat of being removed from this country. Even the ones that do return, they clearly tell them you won't be returned as long as you haven't broken the law. And then we deal with ICE agents all the time, and they're not telling me they're out rounding up people that have failed to show up to their court dates. So this is a lie.
Pure and simple. The Secretary also addressed concerns about migrants actually being tested for COVID while trying to get into this country without being tested for COVID and other diseases. Listen to that.
That you don't do COVID-19 testing, and that in fact you're turning these migrants loose at our border without a test, and they are spreading COVID-19 across our country. Is that true?
Mr. Chairman, we test migrants. We place them in isolation or quarantine as the results of those tests require. We have built an architecture with non-governmental organizations and across the federal enterprise to test migrants.
All right, Sheriff Lamb, so you heard what Secretary Mayorkas said there. What do you see from federal border agents doing in your area when it comes to COVID testing and quarantining of migrants to ensure that they're not spreading COVID here to Americans?
The Border Patrol agents will tell you they're not testing. And not only that, they had 167,000 people they apprehended last month. Do the math on that. That's 3,000 a day. You're telling me that they're testing every single one of those and that they're quarantining those that are coming across with COVID? There's no way that they're doing that. Plus, there was 49,000 gotaways as well, mind you, that made it in here that they did not catch. So once again, another falsity.
And Sheriff Lamb, along your section of the border, you deal with issues related to cartels smuggling drugs and people across the border. Here's some of what Secretary Mayorkas had to say about that issue.
We are very focused on the organizations that exploit the vulnerable and facilitate irregular migration and illegal crossings.
So, Sheriff, is DHS really cracking down on these cartels, or are these groups really getting a pass?
Well, they love to say the right things. If you listen to that whole interview, or, when he was in front of Senate, he constantly tried to use semantics to get out of what he was saying. But he says, we're focused on them. Yeah, they're focused on making them more money is what they're doing. Their policies are making the cartels more money now than ever. And they're making just as much money off of bodies as they are off of drugs. Billions of dollars a year, millions and millions of dollars a day. They are emboldening, empowering, and enriching the cartels. So if that's what he means by focus, then he's telling the truth on that. But my guess is he's trying to tell the American people that they're focused on keeping people out and focused on the cartels in a negative manner, and that simply is not true as well.
Sheriff Lamb, since you are dealing with border agents pretty much on a daily basis, what are they telling you in terms of this administration and why it says one thing but appears to be acting in a different manner?
They're absolutely disgusted. They want to do their job. They know how to do their job, but the policies are not allowing them to do it. Not only that, they're being overwhelmed with the people coming to this country, which forces them to be babysitters in most cases. And now you have the federal government saying that they need to be mandated to have the vaccine, which is only demoralizing those troops even more. They're fed up. Sadly, I think the government wants to push these good men and women out who put on the badge every day for Border Patrol and CBP, Customs and Border Patrol. And we need them now more than ever. And let's hope that they'll stick with us, and let's hope that this government will figure their crap out.